5.
Oh, 7 Star Citizens, and welcome to Answer the Call, your weekly Star Citizen podcast call-in show thing that doesn't go on hiatus like SCL. Oh, so cringe. How you doing, Mike?
I'm sick. I got a sore
Yeah.
throat. I'm all achy and stuff. I woke up this morning and I was like, how am I? My whole goal today was how am I going to make it to here, survive to get to here, to get to do the podcast.
Well,
But
you seem to be alive at the very least.
I'm alive. I've made it. But I am a shell of myself. So if I'm a little less energetic and not as talkative, everyone in the YouTube comments is going to be much happier. So this is going to be a great show today.
Well, you know what's crazy, Mike? You know what else is less energetic than normal? Star Citizen this week. This
Yeah.
is like the first week ever since they finished their January break. It's the first week where it's been a little slow because we didn't get much news. We got a roadmap that told us stuff that was coming. We got
Yeah. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
the roadmap.
The roadmap was good, and we'll probably get to it. We
Yeah.
got pretty much Star Citizen news wise. That was it. There was like some patch stuff which we'll talk about as well. There was the big news for everyone else, but not anyone in the community of Star Citizen reaching 700 million. Which was
Letter
no
from the
surprise
chairman
after
soon?
last week. I mean, probably. I imagine honestly we'll get one with 4.0 release, probably like the day after or something.
Yeah, I feel like he's now
yeah.
doing it instead of on money milestones, on tech milestones, right? So probably not this time around, but
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's surprising. It's just we've had so much stuff to talk about every single week, and then this week it's just been a little bit lighter, and that's strange.
And I think you're saying it right. It's a little bit lighter. Like the title here says Star Citizen's first slow week. This would have not been a slow week when we were playing 317.
Yeah.
Right? Like if some of the things that happened this week happened, we would have been like, oh, we had 3 patches, a roadmap, a bunch of changes that people got dramatic about, 700 million. Like this is a slow week now. So we're not being negative about this, but it is what we're missing is what we talked about last week. And it was like, damn, no SCL, no ISC, nothing driving me towards 4.0 or 323.2 or something. I don't know what it would have been if it was.
Yeah, speaking of, maybe we'll start there. So we had talked last week about how they were looking to get the 323.2 to Evo Cardi. Originally, they were like maybe last Friday, and then they were like, all right, maybe middle of week this past week. That didn't end up happening. So they've once again said, middle week this coming week. We'll see how it goes. I imagine a lot of that is to do with the fact that they've been doing the 323.1A tests.
Yeah.
And everything I've been hearing from it has been, yeah, guys, this is something bad is in this patch and it's just not working. People are having lots of problems.
Yeah, and it's been bad for a while now. I mean, this is the message of the day just for people if you guys didn't see it. But the like we talked about it throughout the 323 cycle that all of the PTUs with Xeno were incredibly rough. And it was like, hey guys, if you don't see this working in a PTU, it is not going to be working on live. I was on an 11-person server. The Idris just sat there and went like this, right? And nothing, and like things were spawning in all over the place. And like we went from a 30 FPS server to 5 in like this. And it was just like, all right, man, like I am done. I don't care. I have no desire to test this or anything. There's nothing I could do to help you in this situation. What feedback do you want me to give? Right? It like the only feedback is it's bad, right? It's in a rough place. So that's where we're at right now. I don't really know what else to say or do on it. You said you haven't played much. I went there twice and that was it. And it was just really, really busted. And at the same time, I don't know how a lot of you guys feel. I personally wait for these kind of things on live. I don't like to play the PTU for stuff like that as much, especially for big events. This one's a little different than the last one, so any sort of surprises would be fun to see for that first time when it's working instead of when it's not. So I just kind of left it alone.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to jump into the playtest tonight, but just before the podcast, finding out that it's actually not for like another 6 hours, so probably not going to be able to get onto it tonight. But that often happens a lot with the anytime they're testing dynamic events, is they put them at really, really awkward times. Just for me personally,
they put them at awkward times for me too. Like there's a lot of
yeah.
times where they're hoping to get it in 6 hours, but it'll probably be in 8 or 9, and like I'm watching TV on the couch, eating dinner with, and then getting ready for bed. You know, like it's just not my time slot at all to do a lot of testing. But I'm more bummed about 323.2. I don't know if it's because they're doing this, or if it's because, hey, maybe they hit a snag in 323.2 as well. It's possible, right? But no matter what, this had to come. That they have to try Xeno, because there has to be a conclusion to Overdrive, and there hasn't been yet, right? I'm still waiting to use my token.
My
free
same
token or whatever. I haven't used it.
I saw it come up again today. I was like, oh yeah, I still haven't finished my reward. I do wonder if nope, I lost it.
I do wonder if
I do wonder
about cargo.
Just in general.
Yeah, just sit around and wonder. Is it about the cargo thing? Like if something's wrong with it?
No, yeah. I do wonder if we keep having issues with this 322.1a, do you think there's any shot that it then just moves into 323.2 and they just bunch it together?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Possibly. The only thing I don't know is like, what's the technical? Is like, are they completely separate branches or whatever? You know, is it hard to do that instead of not? I don't know, but
sure.
If it's not that hard to combine them, then sure, why not? In the end, I hope what they do is don't rush things out for a sale that's super old already. You know what I mean? Like at this point, the Overdrive thing has come and gone. We have complained tons about the Hornet F7A and the Mark II and all this stuff. We have enjoyed it. We have not enjoyed it. And it's like most Star Citizens, what's the next thing? You know? And I think like people are kind of, at least my vibes that around me is people are kind of like, all right, you know, it happened. What's next? And because that's how we have to be. We have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, we're never going to get there. Right. So we'll see.
I am a little bit disappointed that the .1a is having as many issues as it is, because post Invictus, now that Invictus is gone, other than constant fireworks still going on, which is kind of funny, servers have been terrible for me.
I had my first 30.
I've been hearing
30K,
like actual 30K. Yeah, I've been hearing that for a lot of people over the last couple of days, and it's kind of weird. I was expecting, you know, I'm so used to the opposite, where we have an Invictus that is absolute garbage trash, don't want to log in any day, to then, all right, now that it's done, now that the Freefly is gone, the servers are able to recover. But nope, they have done the exact opposite. So it's been a bit rough, because I was like, all right, sweet, finally, let's go. We've got time to start grinding down some rep, and you know, I would do one mission and the AI would great, and then everything would break. So I'm hoping that .a works.
So what we did on Saturday is like, we tried to bring the whole org together and do distribution centers and just general bunkers, trying to find guns, rail guns, and things like that to eventually sell to other people if we don't have a wipe going into 323.2, which is like, who knows. And I did not I think I completed one mission out of 15, like literally every single time. Nothing spawned. One guy left, can't find him. Like, it was just really really rough. So no matter what, no matter how much Xenothreat does, whatever you do, please give 3.23.1a just start over again. Whatever happened, just flush it and let's begin again, because I can't right now with this. Before the podcast, I was in Arena Commander exclusively, and I have been in Arena Commander exclusively for the last like 2 days, because I do not enjoy playing right now.
Yeah,
but I'm really enjoying AC. Just elimination FPS is chaotic and fun and awesome. So I've been really enjoying it.
I do wonder, does it bring up like the whole this in combination with what we were talking last week about the like duping bug, and you know, I was talking about how I would want them to like refresh, like turn servers off and fix everything and whatnot, like nowadays. Do you think Like, should CIG just do a weekly downtime at some point now? Because I imagine like that sort of stuff would actually fix some of these issues. It's like, sick, cool. We can't play for 3 hours on a Tuesday, but like I get to actually have fun throughout the rest of the week is like the thing. And there's got to be a point at some time where CIG will do this. Like every MMO since the existence of time has done this,
It's
right?
a really good question. Like, why don't we have a downtime? Like, are they waiting to
Yeah.
be in one instance and then do it that way, or like, why not do it now? Is it
Or
too
do they just
expensive?
not want it? Do they just not want a downtime? Because I would not be surprised if that's like actually a Chris thing where it's like, no, I want any time of day, every day, people can play.
I
And
mean,
it's like that would be cool, but you know,
gi-
we want it to be
given
playable.
server meshing, do downtimes need to exist anymore?
Damn, no, that's a question.
Right? Because you could just
Yeah.
take down the one and bring in the other, and then everything is fine. But will it assume all of the problems from the other one? You know. So I'm kind of curious about that. That's a really interesting question because every MMO I've ever played, daily downtime, not even weekly, just every day. Every day, depending on the location, it's usually very like 4 or 5 a.m. at that time, and done.
Especially like you've been saying, you've been playing Eve a bunch.
Yep.
Yeah, Eve does a 30-minute downtime at
Yep.
like my time, like 10 p.m. every day.
Yep.
That seems to work. But obviously that has like some other things where it's like one of the reasons that downtime exists is so they can like respool up asteroids and asteroid belts and all these other things. But
cleanup's a big thing.
Clean up, exactly.
Yeah,
So
cleanup's an important thing in MMOs, right? Like they want this persistence, but sometimes it's good to clean up. So yeah, and spawn in things that are supposed to be there, right? That's what other MMOs that I did as well. Before I guess we move on, roadmap roundup, we'll just touch on the things that were in there. Obviously, it isn't anything too crazy, but we had all of the stuff that we already know. The MPUV, the Ursa Medevac. We can say that in 323.1a, they buffed this largely weird, pointless, like whatever kind of missile boat ship. We can get into the missile stuff in a moment, though.
Yeah.
And then I think this was kind of big. The word committed. Everything here is committed. So they're pretty confident they're going to do it. I think they said committed is like 90%. It's not 100%. But
there is in my memory there has only ever been one since they brought in the like committed and stuff, but that's been like 3 years now, I think. There's only ever been one feature that has been removed from committed. I want to say it was
like meshing or something, or
no, it wasn't. It wasn't even meshing. It was like something small. It was like a mission or something, I think. So committed is like, it's like 95%. This is coming in that patch. And I would even go one step further and say like, with 323.2, these things being committed, of course they are. That is what this patch is. So it does like if we get more patches in between them, it's going to be .1b, .1c, that have like fixes or something.
That's
until this is ready.
That's fair, but I think we could have seen persistent freight elevators, but not item banks or not missions.
Sure, so, that's fair. Yeah.
The only thing that I'm pointing out is like everything appears to be in there. So in what state, how complete, we will all see that in the PTU and
hopefully Evocati this week.
Yeah, and if anything, if it's anything like the 323 PTU, we will see it grow and get better over time, slowly, but hopefully it'll be a little faster. And like I said last week, I'm going to dive headfirst into this, and that's kind of why I'm taking a little downtime, because I just I know I'm going to go very, very much hard, I guess, when these come out. So looks like everything will be there. So that's good.
I mean, if the sales of the Ironclad say anything, it means a lot of people are going to be very, very excited with this update.
Exactly. Yep. You want to get on to the mission?
Yeah, you alluded to the missiles. So we had one patch this week where missiles speed got reduced to, I think it was like 150 meters a second, which is like slower than like every SCM speed. Like every max SCM speed.
You can fly into your mission, into your missiles.
Not only that, but you can also just like, the missile's coming towards me. Well, I'm going to slightly just turn this way and go that way for ages.
Yeah.
So that happened. Everyone lost their minds at that change, thinking that it was going to be a permanent change, which, like, I think you guys need to understand, even if this was a deliberate change where CRG were like, literally, we're going to try to rebalance that, CRG are not stupid. They would have realized after that day, yeah, nah, cool. This sucks, is bad, doesn't work. And they did, according to, I think it was Torsten, right?
Yeah. I got to find that one.
He commented that's like, this was a test, just to see if it was going to fix some issues. And then they buffed the speeds again literally the next day, which I think it was like 500 meters-ish a second or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which still isn't great, but...
Yeah, I still hear people complaining that it's a bit slow, but I don't know what ship you're going to be. I mean, I guess larger ships can still hit much higher SEM speeds than 500, so it's kind of, or much higher.
It's not just for that. They're way too easy to
500.
shoot down as well now.
Yeah,
because they're so slow. So
and they should be easier to shoot down, but not 500 meters per second slow. I don't think. But we'll see. It really comes down to, for me, this whole thing is, did the community overreact? Yes. Did the communication fail again? Yes. There is no reason why you shouldn't be saying, this is just a test to figure out some things with issues. This is not a permanent thing. Why that's not communicated there is silly. And the fact that a developer has to communicate that and it's not in the patch notes, I imagine that the developer has to let, I think it's Wikipedia know. So we don't know, did Waka forget to put it? Did Torsten forget to tell him? Or whatever, like, where was the line crossed? Doesn't matter. Nobody, we're not here to blame anybody. It doesn't matter. Just be better next time. And that's it, right? Like, these kind of things have to stop happening. It all goes back to last ISC or last SCL, where Jared gets in front, stares at all of us, and tells us how it is. And we shouldn't have to speculate on things. We should just be told what's happening. It's very simple. If we are testing, we need to know what we're testing, man. That's it. You know? So.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that. Just like, there's also just communication between devs and whatnot where it might have just been missed or something.
Yeah, I'm sure that kind of stuff happens all the time. But I think we overreacted incredibly over a feature like missiles, which have never worked. Like, it doesn't matter if they're going 1 meter per second. They have either been incredibly overpowered or incredibly underpowered. They have never been, they have literally never been in the right place, ever. So I think we overreacted incredibly. When I saw that, I was like, guys, calm down. Holy, it's all right. It's all right.
I saw someone say, and this is my favorite overreaction because it's one of those overreactions that makes completely no sense, was someone said, like, on that first day before Torsten had responded, they said, oh, they're doing this to nerf the Firebird and the Retaliator so they can make more money. So explain to me how nerfing something... Yeah, exactly. How does nerfing a thing make them sell that thing more?
Yeah.
Or like what? But someone did respond really well, which is like, well, because the missiles are so slow to hit their target, you've got to spend all that time on the pledge store. What else are you going to do? So,
that's
actually based.
Makes sense.
Thanks to whoever said that to me.
Yep, you're actually buying ships while you're waiting for your missile to hit. The one thing that I like, though, they seem to have a lot more fuel.
The missiles?
Yeah, so there's no... I don't think there was any fuel number on Urkel, so you can't see how much they added, but there's a lot more fuel, I think, on the missiles, and they last a lot longer. So that's kind of cool as well, because they are doing things like... you can... I think it's Captain Foxy Loxy. He's awesome. He did like a stealth saber build where he was firing missiles or firing ballistic guns actually at ships that couldn't see them. So being farther away, having more fuel is probably a good thing when they dial in the missiles a little bit more. But so a little bit of drama, really stupid. Doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But some of the choices they're making are a little weird. Do you like the idea of slower missile, or do you like the idea of less agile missile? That's mostly what the torpedo conversation has been. It should be fast, but not agile. It should be slow, but slow.
Yeah,
I guess is kind of been what it was.
Well, yeah, especially since ships got less agile. So I think faster but less agile is like a good way to do it. It means you're still introducing a lot of like you can try evasive maneuvers.
Yeah.
They're not going to be as good as they used to be, but they still be a thing here. My biggest thing is just like I want the missiles to be where they are when I try to shoot at them or when I do shoot them, right? Because then you can actually balance them well because you can actually make them faster, more damage, whatever you want to do.
Meaning like not desynced?
Yes, because that's the biggest issue. They desync more than anything in the game, in my experience. They are all over the place. Meaning, you can't shoot them like half the time.
No,
the NPCs have a great time doing it, but yeah, exactly. There was one period of time right after 3.14 when they first introduced missile operator mode and they did like a rework of the missiles for like a month. It worked. Like the missiles were where you wanted them to be, and you could reasonably shoot them down. And if you didn't, it was like, it was a worthy punishment to get hit for that sort of damage and whatnot. But yeah, it's just like the whole mechanic of missiles needs like a big look at and needs like a big rework because I just don't think it's going to work in Star Citizen this way. Nope. You need to do something either simpler or I don't know. I don't know what you do.
The missile knows exactly where it is, and it knows where it's not. Yeah, it needs to know where it's not, and it needs to know where it's going, and it needs to know where it's gone.
It will subtract where it's going from where it's gone.
Yeah. So that's been missiles. Outside of that, 700 million?
700 million. That's a lot of money. In a slight connection with this, so I do nerd trivia every Monday night, Mike. And the guy that sets up the trivia is an Australian streamer who knows me. And this week, he put in 2 questions that I thought was Star Citizen. Only one of them was. One of them was like a Cutlass Red and was like, what game does this come from? The other one was, what's the most expensive game ever made?
It's not Star Citizen.
The answer was Genshin, which is also wrong. But Wikipedia is classically wrong with $700 million for Genshin, Mike.
How?
For the same reason that people get mad about Star Citizen being 700 mil. It's not really how much the production costs, it's the revenue.
You see, they're saying most expensive, like made the most money?
No, they are saying, like in Wikipedia and whatnot, this is just why I'm bringing it up, is they're saying this is the most expensive game to be made. And for those saying GTA 6, that is a rumor, that is not confirmed.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Yes, it will be GTA 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it says Genshin 700 mil. And yeah, it made me realize like, oh, that's a similar thing to like what people say with Star Citizen. It's like Star Citizen hasn't cost 700 mil. It probably will.
I think it actually
but it's not. It's revenue.
Front. But if that's saying revenue, because the thing that's really interesting about Star Citizen is when you look at their financials or whatever, when they deliver them, they don't have a lot of money left over each year. They spend that money on development. It's the one thing that you can point at them and go, okay, they're not really scamming. Like they are, but they're not. Right, because they spend the money on Squadron or whatever. Like you could feel the way you want to feel. I'm not going to knock any of your opinions, right, or good or bad or whatever. Right. My opinion is they took the money from Star Citizen, they made Squadron with it, and now they're coming back with all these single player things that don't fucking work for our game, and it's getting kind of frustrating for some people. And it's really good in some aspects, really not good in others, and it is what it is right now. Right, we're working through all that stuff. But the thing about them is you can look at them and go, they're spending all the money on development and on like you've never heard a developer say they're not getting paid. You've never heard any of those things, right? Maybe they're not getting paid as well as they should. We've heard those rumors before, like CIG doesn't pay as well as like EA or something. Like in the early development days, like they were losing devs to EA a lot, shit like that, or Blizzard or something. But I don't know what it's like now, right? But at the same time, they're spending the money, right? And we don't know how much Chris is making. We don't know how much Sandy's making. We don't know how much Ortwin's making. These Chris is developer, right? But these non-development focused people. But it is what it is. Most of the money is going to actually a big black hole of what we have right now. And at least Genshin is out there, right? But yeah, they're talking
Genshin's the better gacha game out of the two for sure.
For now, we'll see. We'll see. Chris
Where's my
has got
sauces
some
and loot boxes?
Yeah, Chris has got some things up his sleeve. We'll see. So I don't know.
To be clear as well, because I may have misspoke. I meant specifically like in regards to that question. It was not
It's
like
how
how
much
much has
they've
been
made.
spent on the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how much
Genshin have not
players are
spent
spending
$700
on the game.
million on Genshin.
No, they
that
are
would be
printing.
insane. Unless they were like, hey, person who did art for our game, here's $50 million,
No, they're printing.
So but then yeah, so we hit 700 mil. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. Actually, it might have been earlier. It might have been just after the pod, honestly.
I think it was early in the week.
It was pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
And almost completely, the Ironclad is responsible for that, and it's super tangible. Like if you look at the week funding that you can see, it's like massive spike on Drake Day, and then it's sort of like it teeters down, obviously, but it stays pretty high for the rest of the event, and it's pretty nuts. I saw someone say that it's the biggest single day Invictus we've ever had.
I think so.
Which would not be surprising, especially because this Invictus, in a similar fashion to last year's IAE, has now put us in front of last year for funding.
Yeah, which is crazy.
No,
because they haven't really, like, we've talked about it a lot. They haven't delivered anything that was super exciting, really, right?
Yeah, they haven't sold many things this year except for like the Hornets. So,
and the Hornets are cool, dude. I don't know who it was. It was a random YouTube video I caught, and I don't know who it was, and I wish I can give them credit, and I apologize that I can't. But somebody made a video about the history of the Hornet, and they showed like videos from 2015 saying they were going to do this.
Like this exact thing?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Which is crazy.
Which doesn't make it a good thing.
Doesn't make it a good thing. But we were warned, and we just never. Back in those days, we were. Oh my God! Chris said what? We're gonna be farming, So it was like nobody knew what was going on at that point. But they said it exactly, that they were gonna do it just like this. I wasn't Galgot. That was the first person I think. It was just a random channel I've never seen before, but they were right on top of it. Oh, another thing. Another thing, I don't know, and this is something I've been screaming from the rooftops everywhere, because especially if Xeno's coming, they made a little back-end change that Nice Guy on YouTube found. He was the first one I found that said it. He found that they lowered significantly the health of stock components. Any stock ship, your components are, if they take any damage, which it is possible that they do take damage from missiles or from NPCs, anything, ballistic weapons, right? They're going to die really quickly. If your coolers die, you're done, right? If your power plant dies, you're done, and you're just floating down to the ground. So you won't be soft death necessarily, but you would experience a soft death-like thing more often than you ever have. Is it just some ships? I'm not sure if it's some or all, but take a look.
Was that a .1A or was that a base 323?
I believe it's .1A. So take a look at the difference on Urkel if you guys haven't yet, and just make sure you swap your coolers out. A lot of people don't, because you don't need to. So in this case, just make sure you swap your coolers out where sometimes you wouldn't, and then you'll be okay. Most people swap their power plant. Most people swap their quantum drive, right? But swap your coolers just in case, because it does look like it might be pain if you're doing Xeno Threat or something like that. More than you might get surprised by it, right? Catch you off guard.
Did they when they said obviously like the stock components? Was it literally like if you bought that exact same component and fitted it in, it had the extra health? Or
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, that's the only part that I'm not sure, because the idea of what a stock component is very interesting. Because if you look at some other ships, stock components are like military grade. So you're like, okay.
Yeah, a Caterpillar comes with a Ponti's quantum drive.
Exactly. So what does that exactly mean? I'm not sure, but But just keep an eye out. Check Urkel if you guys haven't. If you don't know what it's called, or if you've never heard of it before, Urkel.games, ERKUL.GAMES. And you can kind of search through your ship and see what's what. But yeah, I figured I'd do that little PSA, because you might get screwed.
If I think that's mostly it for the week. So what I might do, Mike, is I might lead us towards a question for the show on our brand new Discord.
Yes.
That
First
you
one?
guys can check out. Our first one. I like this question a lot. So this is from the Mac Cloud.
Okay.
What features, other than dynamic server meshing, cargo refactor, and what's coming in 4.0, so essentially the features that we know that are about to arrive,
Yep.
what do you think is needed realistically for a full release? And
Crafting.
I'm going to tweak that and say a 1.0. I'm concerned how simplistic CIG's tools are for fixing issues with a live service environment without taking the whole server mesh and or game down each time. The MMO crowd are notorious about staying silent about bugs they hope to abuse when a live launch is near. That's just extra flavor. But we'll go with the question. So yeah, what do we think is needed for a 1.0 that is not coming in the next few months?
I'll do one, crafting.
Yep.
There's others for sure.
Yeah.
So you go ahead. I'll elaborate if you want.
Yeah, no, go. Elaborate and we'll keep talking.
Because for people that don't know, I said it last week, I have been diving very, literally just the tippiest toe into Eve. And even just the tippiest toe into Eve, I'm like, we should do this. Okay. And I have, my checkout is full of things that I feel like should be in the game. And I love the way they do a lot of things like blueprints and stuff like that, right? So we know that there's a blueprint system. It kind of sounds like they're being inspired by Eve. Like the more I've played Eve, the more I notice that CIG does a lot of Eve inspired like things. So yeah, I just want to see what they do with crafting, man, because for me, crafting is what defines everything. If and only if things that you craft are doing. I mean, one thing that we didn't say, or we did we talk about it last week? I think we did. The idea of components mattering more in industry components versus military components, right? What is that going to mean? Tie that into crafting, and then, okay. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. I just want there to be meaningful. Like we talked a lot about before the podcast, like Summit quitting or whatever, and some goofy stuff like that. But he was kind of bummed out because there wasn't that much player interaction, whether it was fighting or not. There was no organic interaction. Organic interaction is absolute. Whether it's this is my opinion. People might hard disagree with this, and I totally understand if you do. Putting something up on a player market and selling it to another player that's like, that's such a big deal to me personally. I crafted
not only that, it's very baseline. It's very baseline expectations.
Yeah. I'm not I'm not pie in the sky here. I'm really not.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, I would say in like a little conjunction with that is for sure. I do not think CIG will release 1.0 without some version of the homes, the like player bases.
Yeah.
Whatever that ends up looking like. I think it's
base building. Yeah.
Yeah, based on the way that they were talking about it last year, and things may have changed. Obviously, we've had like some devs change, and we've had this whole situation with 3.23 and 4.0 and whatnot has probably changed some things.
We did hear it's in dev.
We did hear it's in dev. They were
or conversation.
I don't know if it was monthly report or if it was an ISC, but it gets mentioned a little bit all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think we see it without that, and it'll be a massive part of it. And obviously, that goes along with what a lot of the stuff you were saying. I don't think we have homes without crafting, right? Like I think they will probably come almost in the exact same patch. And yeah, I don't know. I will say the way that they structured the question makes me think they may have been specifically talking about like tech, like what tech sort of stuff needs to be in there, other than like dynamic server meshing. And I don't know. I don't know if there is much more backend tech that isn't just current stuff expanded.
You do not need a dynamic economy. You don't.
True. Like we don't need Quanta.
You do not technically need it. Do we want it?
Yeah.
I think it would be cool. I'm not saying I don't want it, but do I think that we need it? No. You can have a kind of static / player done economy, like Eve, right? So there, you could do stuff like that, and it's pretty doable. I don't think it isn't necessary tech wise. The only other things that I would say is, and I don't know if this would be considered tech, but org stuff, like the ability to like on the website end in game, organize, manage. Another God. I'm so sorry for people that are tired of hearing this, but like new Eve patch coming out, they're doing loyalty points for companies in the game, right? So for us, orgs would be like, hey, go salvage 50 spaceships and bring me back the RMC. You get this many loyalty points, and you can buy loyalty stuff from our org-specific loyalty shop, skins or ships or whatever, right? That's what they're doing. So things like that, like the tools possible, I consider tech, and the tools possible to make group play as interesting as possible would be really important to me as well. But
yeah, I would advance that as well. Like, yeah, that has to arrive for 1.0 in my head, because it's been such a lacking part of the game forever, where all of the interesting content has been within it, and everyone's always had to organize outside of the game in order to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, so, just give us the tools. I'm sure we'll have some fun, right? The only thing that I want to come back to you on with base building is they very casually mentioned, like very subtly, I should say, not casually, but the idea of crafting ships, crafting possibly stations. I have a hard time with that right now. What do you think? Like 1.0 or after 1.0? I feel like it's like a beyond,
like crafting like stations and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Like far
I
beyond.
feel like that's beyond.
Me too.
I feel like that's beyond.
Ships,
but it's one of those things where it's we'll continue to bring up Eve. Eve Eve did a really good job of bringing all of those things online really slowly.
Yeah,
but already had a game, right? So like the current iteration of player bases that exist now, which are much more complex, but also like a lot more interesting and cooler, didn't arrive until I want to say like 2018. Someone will correct me, but it was around then.
Okay, that's way into its development. Yeah, 15 years.
Yeah, and there were things before that, but the things before that, you never really felt like it was a community thing. 2016, thank you.
Okay,
like you had these like control base towers, which were just essentially floating beacons, and you would just literally park next to the beacon and log off. And so it didn't really feel like, in my opinion, didn't really feel like a home until then.
Gotcha.
So once again, that's Eve. It's a very different game, but like I think those sort of things you can bring in slowly to Star Citizen without like having a bad experience before then, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's something that will increase the already good experience, hopefully, that you're having.
Yep. The only other thing I would add is, and I think I mentioned it very subtly earlier, but just to make sure I reiterate it, crafting is not going to be cool if the things that you craft aren't like the stuff that we're seeing from the FPS team a little bit. Like when you have a scope on your gun, your ADS is slower, but you have a scope. When you have a laser on your gun, your bullet spread is lower, but you have some other negative, right? Like your laser, people can see it. Like people can see you coming down a hallway, that kind of stuff. So I do hope we get like more characteristics to the things that we're crafting, because if we don't, what's the point? Like if I'm crafting the stuff that we have now, bro, I'm done. Like I have no desire to participate in that sort of experience. There's so many better games at this than what we currently have in terms of what I'm wearing, what components I'm putting on my ship, that kind of stuff. And it sounds like they want to go in that direction. It's just one of these things that we all know we need to be patient, but it is so hard to say that statement right now this far in. So I do really struggle with that, because I do see them finally seeing the light on some things, and I go, okay, now I'm the one who's telling people to be patient. Oh my God, this is not good. But at the same time, what else can you do? They're finally doing it. So now you just got to watch it happen. It sucks, but it's true. You know?
To expand on one thing you mentioned there, in addition to like, I need to be able to craft like interesting things or things that people will actively want. I also need to be able to craft things that you cannot purchase on the Pledge store. That is the actual biggest thing for me, and will genuinely actually make me quit the game if that's the case. If it can actually just all be bought for real money. So
I mean,
let's not do that.
They look more and more like a mobile game every day, and it just depends on how far they push into that direction.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's pretty simple. No, I mean, a lot of people, again, I am so sorry. A lot of people don't like the direction Eve's gone in, and it's kind of understandable, right? So, Do you have any other questions from the Discord, or is that it?
Yeah, I can grab one more. Let's grab. Sure. This one is from Kidding Man. Whatever happened to the personal habs? At one time, they talked about making cities feel like real cities with apartments and tunnels and missions like the new GFs. Has the idea been shelved or abandoned? The last time they talked about it was like literally last year, I think. Pre-CitizenCon and stuff, and then they dropped it.
What was it? Can you repeat it? I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Personal habs.
Personal habs.
So what's the deal with personal habs? They haven't talked about it for a lot. So they started talking about the
apartments, right?
Like what is it called? Like the internal city places to go. Mm-hmm. My brain can't think of what it's called, but they talked
building
about
interiors,
that a lot last
I think
year.
they called them
building interiors. Yeah. I don't imagine we get player habs without building interiors because where are those habs going to be?
Yeah, because I think what you're doing right now is like you're in a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple of things to mention about that. Firstly, you can already decorate your hotel rooms now. So that aspect of like player like personal apartments and whatever already exists. Cool. Hey, guess what we're about to get in 323.2? We're about to get persistent hangers.
With furniture, apparently.
With furniture, apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
What is a persistent hanger if not just a really, really massive apartment? So you can just
the text should be
minimize
there,
it, you know?
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So we may see it sooner rather than later, but it is worth noting. Yeah, they haven't mentioned much about building interiors in, I think, about a year. But I may be wrong. To be fair.
Yeah. So the waiting room blew up while we were talking, and I didn't notice it. That's why I asked you to repeat the question because I was like lining everybody up. So do you want to jump into questions or chats with everybody? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's answer the calls. Answer some calls. Let's get GamersCafe.
Answer some calls. Yeah. What's up,
How you doing, gamers?
Not bad. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Fantastic.
Pretty good. And just so you know, and everyone else, I do have somebody coming to the house today, so we have to be a little bit faster. So if I cut you off, I apologize.
No, that's fine. I only have one thing really to ask is so Mike, I caught your video earlier this week. I think it was earlier this week where you were talking about server player caps and along that line. I just want to confirm something first. Are you saying that servers like cities like Hurston will never get more than 100 players, or
no, not at all? I think you're referring to when I was watching Summit.
I think
be like, yo, this is getting boring. I was just saying that the game won't be exciting until we have a ton of people coming together, and the only way for that to happen is to have servers with lots of people in them. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm just touching base on that.
Traditional MMO stuff, you know?
Yeah. The way I see it happening in the future, and they did show this. By the way, I was making a response video, and now I have to scrap it because I was wrong.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Mike, every time he has an opinion.
Yeah, it always backtracks and makes my life hard. But what I was going to say was the way I see it happening in the future is like Hurston, for example, or Lawville. You could actually split the servers down to like small room sizes. Like, for example, the Area 18 could be its own server with 400 to 600 players.
Hopefully.
The hospital could be another server with 400 to 600 players. The airport, the spaceport could be another server with 400 to 600 players, which is why I think they've put the trains in. Everybody always goes, well, why do they have all these trains, and why do we have to catch the train to the spaceport? To be honest, I think it's a performance issue, so that in the future they knew.
I will fight you on that just very quickly, because the trains, notably from like CRG have mentioned, don't work well with server meshing. It is like the literal opposite. So no, but I'm saying it's unlikely that they had originally planned out when they first introduced the first landing zone in 2016.
I think what he means is separating people.
Yeah, so I would push back on.
Just the idea of separating tons of. Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep, that's fair.
So I would say that I would push back on if I'm getting what you're thinking is saying. I would push back on you, Croncy, because this new patch that's coming out, the 323.2, actually has trains moving between servers and actual server meshing with trains built into the actual new tech. It's one of the new features coming in 323.2. So I think that they would always plan.
Where are you getting this
if you
from?
actually read the roadmap. Let me.
Mike and I quickly running to the roadmap.
Everybody is running to the roadmap right now.
Wait, this roadmap just says Mike and I are always wrong? What?
So, release view. I might be wrong about this. Let me just double check.
Oh,
this
God,
before.
you're going to progress tracker. No way.
No. Release view. Is it 4.0 maybe?
Yeah, 4.0. Yeah, 4.0. They're redoing the transit system.
Yeah, that's why we're questioning you.
Yeah.
Because you said 323.2, and we were like, there's no server meshing. What are you talking about?
Close enough.
Sorry. Hey, I've been up for about 3 hours.
It's fair. It's fine. It's just that's what we were confused about. We're pushing on you because we're like, 4.0.
Yeah, 4.0, they're actually going through it, and they're actually allowing trains, from what I understand, to jump between servers and allowing for server meshing. So I would say that they always did plan. Look, the tech was never there, but now that they're bringing the tech in, now that they can go through and actually say, well, hang on, yes, we can actually have the spaceport. And Mike, when you did the test, I never got a chance to do the test with the 600 to 800 players.
I mean, nobody did.
800... I know
everyone who did was stationary.
Yeah, I know the 800 players crashed, but what was it like with the 6?
It was
the
terrible.
600? I heard this.
It was terrible with 400. Yeah, it was horrible though.
4 and 6.
200 was the only time that it was somewhat playable. That was the only time. Anytime they went over that, it was always problematic. Yeah, when they hit 400, it was really problematic.
Someone told me when they hit 4 that it was like playing on 2.
That's the thing. It's very likely that people are going to have.
Everyone's having different experiences. For me, it was.
I would
horrible.
say, yeah. From what I've heard, the majority of people had lots of problems at that number. Right. In fact, a lot of people said like, yeah, maybe 200, 250 would be a good spot for now, sort of thing.
I think my 400 person
everything
server...
you're saying is.
Go ahead, Croncy.
I was just gonna say everything that you're saying, GamersCafe, is still like, yeah, like they're going to want to, like they. In one of those replication tests, there was a different shard for each planet, pretty much, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just that continued. It's just that like drawn out more, so that you can have more and more people in smaller locations. Yeah. So you're still right. Yeah, all that stuff should happen. The question is obviously time, and it's not 4.0. 4.0 is almost certainly just going to be 2 shards, and that's it. But that'll be more testing for going forward.
It needs to be more than that.
I would push back on that because I think at the end of the day, if you can get 2 shards working, then there's nothing stopping you having 4 or 5 shards working.
Well, there is because you're increasing the amount that you're transiting.
If that was true, then we wouldn't have had issues when we went to 4, 6, and 800 because they literally told us that they were adding more servers, and something happened when they did. So, there's that just objectively is not true, and that's it.
Well,
it's not what happened.
I'd like to go and check the footage on. I think it was Supermac or someone was saying that where he was actually showing jumping between servers. My understanding was every planet, like major planet, had its own server, and that the space was its own server.
Yep, so those were 2 servers.
Yeah. Right. Well, if every planet is its own server, that's at least 4 servers.
No. Planets were servers. Space was servers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It will still come. I just think you're a bit maybe aggressive with the timing is all. I think exactly what you said is going to happen. I just don't think it's going to be. I think it'll be maybe 2 years before we get to the point where we've got like multiple servers on planets and stuff. But they also haven't talked much about it. They've only really talked about here's what we think like 4.0 is going to look like server wise, and that's it. So
I'll jump in. Let me jump in just for a second because just because of time. Let me ask this question to you two, because you seem to both differ on this, and I'm curious. Is 2 servers, 200 people each, 4.0? Like, is that considered 4.0? If I jump from one server to another, is that 4.0? Because I already did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't. I think
what do you consider 4.0?
I don't know what the number is, but it has to be more than like 100 players per server. right?
Yeah,
like,
so I would
they
say
have
it's
to prove
yeah.
that
I think
they can
no,
up the server count.
The way that you started the question is different to the way that you answered it. I do think it'll be more. I think it'll be like a total of 400, like 200 per server, sort of thing. Like that.
Even
Yeah,
that
I
is
think
that enough? Like for me, for them to put the 4 in front of it, it has to be a significantly more paramount change than doubling the player count in an already giant area. I think Pyro is double the size of Stanton, something like that. So like,
yeah, it's very big.
What is our experience going to be? Is our experience actually changing other than jumping between them? Tech-wise, yes, but game-wise, is it worth putting that 4.0 on it, or do they need to just let it cook a little while and make it work with more things like similar to the tests? Again, I've said multiple times, we need to do another test before we have these type of conversations again, because we can make up in our heads what is going to happen all we want, but the reality is what happens after the first test. What did they fix? What didn't they? And then we can make some realistic expectations for what 4.0 is. But for me, they have to hit the goals that they were trying to hit in Stanton. 800 people.
So for me, 4.0 would be every major planet, Crusader, Microtech, Hurston, and Outcorp, having its own server, and the spaces in between being its own server. So there would be 5 servers in Stanton.
So that would be significantly more than 100 aside or 200 aside.
Yeah. Well, you could have like 200 or 400 players on each server, and that would be in 5 servers in Stanton, 400, say 200 to 400 players each server. You're looking at the Stanton system would be approximately 2,000 players, around 2,000 players, probably on.
That would be incredible.
That
would be incredible. But we'll see.
I will let you go because you're not feeling well and busy and people coming over But yeah, that's why I just wanted to talk about this, because I sort of have a different view on it than Croncy sounds like he does, and we'll see who's right. But
yeah, we'll see. It all comes down to we'll find out.
I will say I was the first to call that we were going to get a Squadron 42 announcement last year at SitCon, and I was right about that, Croncy. So
wrong. I said it was going to happen 5 years ago. No, you're fine.
Clock's right twice a day.
Well, right, yeah, Croncy might be eating his emu, but anyway.
Cheers, gamers.
All right, gamers, have a good one, man. All right, that was gamers. That was a good call. That was fun. Let's bring in King Jasper.
King Jasper, how you doing?
Hello.
Well, you have a fancy
mic. Another Aussie that I hear?
Technically, same area, New Zealand.
I'll take it. All
right. Do you claim him?
I don't.
What do you want to talk about today?
Jasper?
I want to talk about the selling power concept.
Okay, so like the Hornet, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So back from 318 to 320, the meta ships were the Hornet Ghost and the Fury.
Why? Do you remember?
You could acquire maneuverability,
bugged,
stealth.
Right?
The Fury, it wasn't bugged. It was
the
just
Fury wasn't. The Hornet was. Yeah.
The Hornet was bugged. Yes, the Hornet had 32 Gs, which was in excess of what it should have.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, no, I wonder why.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Anyhow, the other problem with the Hornet Ghost was that you couldn't see it beyond 300 meters, so it was really egregious, particularly with the speeds that we played at in those flight models. From there, when they introduced the Lightning, that became the new ship, and my kind of egregious statement at the time was, man, it really sucks that the best way to get better at this game is to have too much US dollars and not enough cents.
Yeah. I like that statement.
Now I feel it's a little bit worse, because part of the reason whether the Ghost and the other Hornet variants was strong at the time was because of a bug. If you did the Eagleheart missions, on one of them you fight a Hornet S7A. Yep. You were able to soft death it, steal the components off it, put them on your other Hornets. They patched that out when they made the Hornet Mark II, and they added the mission to upgrade it. The Hornet Mark II is now, the Hornet Mark II-A in particular is now the meta ship, and it's the most strong.
Also titled as bugged.
Yes, but even if we disregard the bug and just look at its weapon stats and say that it's going to have something more consistent later, it's still going to be the strongest ship.
Do you know what the argument from people was? That, of course it is. It's a military ship. It's supposed to be overpowered. And I'm thinking,
there's more military ships.
Well, there's more military ships, but also the fact that like we are just we are creating our own realities that this is not a video game that we're playing, right? Yeah. And that it's supposed to be that way. Like the American military or something like that is the greatest military in the world. I know that's what we hear all the time. Who knows if that's true or not? I'm sure we'll find out one of these days. But the idea of like these are things that we're making up, right? And we don't. Yeah. It's real world things that you're applying to your video game that's supposed to be balanced.
Yeah,
not
you
balanced
can't use
evenly. But not this ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, you can't use lore explanations for something being just like objectively better than everything else, because then you're discounting all of gameplay.
Yeah, you're discounting the fact that that it's a bunch of ones and zeros on your computer. It's not real life.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. And as well as you can make ships like seem like they are more powerful without actually making them super OP, right?
Yeah.
You can make it work within the lore of even what their excuses are without making it the literal only choice if you're trying to do, competitive PvP or whatever.
Yeah, and I just to jump in, like chatters, things like that, I did not try to make this a conversation about who the most powerful military in the world is, or you guys jump in on what your political feelings are. Nobody cares. It was just a statement, okay? I shouldn't have said it or whatever because you guys can't help yourselves. But it's just, we're talking about video games, so let's keep it there, please. Thank you.
The best military is Hurston Dynamics. Anyway.
The two diverging paths here, though, for me, is that the quest is going away eventually. Mm-hmm. So
for the F7A, you mean, right?
Yeah. So if they remove the bugs and it still remains the best ship, there's a certain point in time in which you're shit out of luck. The best ship is a ship you'll never be able to get.
Ooh, I don't think that's true. Didn't they say there'd be more opportunities?
There probably will be. There'll probably be a yearly opportunity for Xenothreat, maybe. But we can hope. But for a period of time,
yes,
you're just dunsed.
Yep.
And there was a window where you couldn't buy the Hornet. Another Hornet, the Lightning. So the same issue occurred because it was the best ship. But there was alternatives with the Hornet Ghost and the Fury in that scenario.
What you're forgetting is whatever the next ship is going to be.
Yeah, but
what's the next combat ship?
Whatever that weird upgraded Fury thing that they're touting in teasers sometimes.
I'm sure that'll be really good.
The big thing obviously is like the answer to your problem is to balance the ships. Right? It's you're exactly right. You shouldn't be able to get you should not ever be only to like if there is a tier 1 or tier 0 as we often call it, if it's just like the only option, there should no be a tier 0 ship that everyone cannot get.
King, if I can jump in,
it has to be balanced.
If I can jump in, because I think I know what you're saying, and I think it differs from what Croncy's responding to. You're not saying that there's anything wrong with this ship necessarily being, it is incredibly overpowered and probably should be nerfed a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with there being a powerful ship. It's the exclusivity of these things that's the issue, correct? Okay.
Go to Verse Finder, look up F7 Mark II-A. No availability.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be exclusive.
Yeah, okay, maybe I misunderstood you, Croncy. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing is they if something is usable in the game, it needs to be available. This includes the Vandal Scythe. This includes everything that has been considered exclusive. At some point, they cannot be, right? And whatever exclusivity means, it needs to be locked behind gameplay, not behind FOMO shit. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah, and I will say I don't think there's anything wrong with a thing being exclusive as long as it is not like gameplay impacting.
Yeah.
Cool exclusive skin. Cool exclusive old version of the ship or whatever. Though that's not exactly what the Mark 1 is. That sort of stuff I'm okay with.
Yeah. F8A, here we go. Yeah. King, we took up a lot of your time, so what else do you want to chat about? But we do have to cut it off somewhat soon.
No, I think that's roughly it. You know,
Okay.
We're mostly in agreement over this fact. It's more just, you know, the systems in place currently result in situations where if you get into the game right now and say, I want to do X activity, and that activity happens to be racing or PvP or whatever, and the best thing for that is just not available because you either missed the window or it costs more money than you can afford and you can't earn it in the game. I feel it's really egregious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like, yes. Yep. I don't know how to say yes anymore.
Yeah. This is very obvious.
This
isn't rocket science, man.
Yep.
You know, and it's they just keep putting it out there, and like there's a lot of you can't wait to see what we do next kind of things, and I'm like, no, I can fucking wait a little longer before I see what you guys decide to do next, because it's been brutal.
I would wish they would just stick to a vague promise. I remember them saying at one point where whatever comes in, the next patch it'll be available.
Yes.
Yeah, they stopped doing that for a little bit.
Well,
and now it's like
they've
two patches.
Twisted it. Yeah. They've morphed it.
Yeah.
So
it's not meta anymore, but the lightning's still not available.
It should. I don't think they'll make it available.
They'll never make it available.
Just spend
not in that way.
Just spend 10,000, dude. I mean, like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. 10K.
We were saying today, actually, no. You spend $10,000 for the skin, and then you get the ship for free.
Oh, true. That's even more based.
I like your thinking. But all right, King, we'll let you go, man.
All right. Ta-ta,
cheers for the call. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. All right. We got our most regular caller since we started the show together, SpaceMonkeyBusiness.
Space Monkey, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Nice to hear. What am I? Oh my god, there's so many stuff, but I have to choose one or two because the show will get late.
You were just about to say, "What am I even going to talk about this week?" You just join every week, ready to say something.
Yeah.
There's always a lot to talk about, even if it's just like, fantasizing about what could happen, whatever. But what I watched yesterday, because I do it sometimes now and then, I watched a guy who played Star Citizen for the first time, and I thought, maybe 3.23 is a really good patch for newcomers to come in, at least visually around or besides the gameplay stuff. But I think it's really good. I mean, for them getting in, having clean UIs, having like good EVA experience and all that. I don't know. What do you think about that? Is it good for new people to start with that?
Every next patch is the best patch for new players to come in. Typically.
Mike, 3.18 happened. You can't say that anymore.
Typically.
I was about to say that. I was about to say, like, do you really think no?
No, yeah, I do agree with you. I've heard from a couple of new players who have said that they maybe tried the game for like a month or not even in the past, and when they came in for 3.23, though specifically not within the last couple of days, that just the appearance of the game was much cleaner to them.
Yeah, imagine
not to say that it's done, but
like the FPS gunplay from 320, let's say, to 3.23. You're like, bro, it's so much better. It's got its problems. Trust me. I punched my chair a few times in the last couple of days, but it is so much better. So much better.
Yeah. But aren't those issues more related to the server performance than actual issues with the gameplay? I mean, okay,
the ones that I mentioned.
But
there's other things.
We can't talk server performance in Arena Commander, man. Yeah. Sorry, we're not making these excuses for them. I'm not doing it.
I will also say, like, there are issues just in game right now with the new UI that still need to get fixed. Like, the fact that there's just a billion lines of text all over the place if there's too many things in front of you is just a mess to look at. And so it's like you've got this really good UI that can sometimes just be a pain to look at. That sort of stuff still needs to change. And that's not necessarily a bug as much as it is maybe just an overlooked feature that will almost definitely change.
Yeah.
It's those sort of things. And then, there's still all those other things like the onboarding experience is still not great. We have the tutorials now, and that's infinitely better than where we were at like previously.
It's better than nothing.
We've had them for like now a year. It is literally better than nothing, but there's still so much that needs to get added. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are definitely right. It is much better for new players now. It is certainly by no means, I would argue, good for new players yet.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it worked for the guy I watched. I mean, he had like this.
Yeah, it's awesome.
30-minute tutorial, at least for the flight stuff. I mean, you don't have any other stuff like no mining, no salvage, no FPS stuff, and so on.
I think they'll build that in eventually.
So. Yeah, I think so. At least giving them some starter missions like, here, I give you a multi-tool and a mining attachment. Go mine something, please, and bring it back or something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, because it's something I always think about when I see these those trailers, and specifically the Squadron 42 trailer, the last one from CitizenCon, where they mentioned, well, I don't know the context completely, but they mentioned like the visual quality CIG is known for, and that's always stuck to my head. It's like, yeah, it's a nice feature, but to be honest, I really wish you would known for really good gameplay and not only the visuals. But
also,
they
like,
have to prove it with Squadron 42 now.
Lots of games are catching it. Like, the visual stuff isn't as wild as it used to be in comparison to other studios now, right? Like, lots of studios are doing really cool things. Unreal Engine 5 looks pretty cool in some aspects, right? So it's that's not even a thing anymore, in my mind, at least.
Yeah. Have you seen those? There's some videos out there about the realistic mods of Cyberpunk 2077. Have you seen them? They are crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So yeah, they're catching up, but still, this Star Citizen stuff is still an experience, at least for now, and I think it's hard to catch up where no other game can deliver that to some extent, at least.
It's different, I would say, but it's not like
I'm not
if I go to
Star
play
Citizen because it looks good.
No. I mean, like the planets, the scale, and all the stuff, and
I think that helps.
Sure, yeah. There's nothing doing like scale of SC in this way.
Yeah,
I think
and I don't think anyone will until Star Citizen releases.
Definitely,
know. So
sorry for interrupting.
I mean,
that was bad.
No, you're all good, Mike.
Yeah, I just think the aspect of being in your ship, seeing some of that stuff, getting out of your ship, and then being as close to the ground that you could touch, that's the difference. Elite Dangerous looks cool too.
Definitely.
Elite Dangerous sounds cool, right? There's lots of Eve looks
and
amazing.
then you play it for 3 hours and it
looks
gets so boring.
Yeah,
Eve looks great.
Eve looks great, but none of that stuff is what's keeping me playing it. It's the it's the tactile nature of Star Citizen is what is really what it's about for me. And I think when people see it, and especially when people experience it, that's when they're like, "Yo, there's something special here," right?
Yeah.
Oh, talking about other game stuff and what they do better. What space games would you name where you could import some features to get into Star Citizen? I mean, E for the economy.
E for a lot.
Not just the economy, but they do. They do a lot of things right.
What else? What else?
The one thing that they don't do right is the gameplay. Everything else, no,
it's the nature of the game, or
so the gameplay itself is a lot more. I don't know if this actually makes sense, but it is a lot more two-dimensional. It's a lot more just press some buttons.
Yeah.
But like the player interactions are way more in depth. The economy is obviously the biggest thing, but I don't know if any game has come close to the kind of player economy that Eve has. I don't know if I would want them to do that because it's so deep. Yeah. Things like there's one Mike and I have talked about a couple of times. The contract system that Eve has is so good for
very powerful
everything. For if you just want to sell stuff, if you want to do courier work, that sort of thing is super cool. All of the org and party mechanics that they have are they work in a good for what you would want in a space game. So like that sort of stuff, 100% bring in. And I honestly, I don't know if there's any other space games that I would want to bring features in from. No Man's Sky,
some survival stuff.
maybe
I'd
the
like to see.
crafting.
I'd like to see a little bit more survival-y things.
Sure.
Not making food and drink go faster or anything like that. I think it's
Yeah.
dialed up probably a little too much right now, but I would like to see more survival-esque things. Like, I am out here in the middle of nowhere, but I can make something happen. I'm not going to build a spaceship or anything, but I can maybe make my way to safety somehow, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, not fair. Actually, no, you know what I would bring in? The overclocking mechanic from Satisfactory. You put an item...
How does that work? You have to explain it.
You loot an item, you put that item in a machine, and in this case it could be... It would actually work really... Surprisingly, I think it would work really well with the current iteration of engineering. You put that item in your, like, thing, and then it goes faster, but it uses up more resources.
Yeah.
Very simple, very good, and I love it.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool. But Space, because we got 2 more, we'll probably let you go here, okay?
Yeah. Last... yeah, let's
very
go.
quick, very quick.
I will ask. Okay, so what if you would be Torsten or in Torsten's team, or decide what Torsten's team would go next for after engineering? What would you choose?
Crafting.
Would Torsten be doing crafting?
Yeah,
because it's
sorry. Besides after engineering, I mean the gameplay.
No, I know. I'm saying
he does
like
all the gameplay. So I assume yes.
Yeah.
The only thing I think he hasn't touched.
Gameplay?
Maybe I don't know. I think the only thing he hasn't really touched is cargo in the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
He's done mining.
Regardless, I would want Torsten to do crafting. I like what Torsten does. So.
Yeah, so far he's out of everybody. These guys seem like they get it. I wish we knew more of Torsten's team, because it isn't just Torsten. It's Guillermo. I think he was the guy that we saw at CitizenCon, right? So that I would like them to just crafting, man. Crafting, and it just him saying that they want to make components differentiate. It sounds to me like they are doing it, right? That sounds like crafting to me. So we'll see.
Sounds good.
See.
Okay, good.
All right, Space.
Sweet.
Thanks for the call, brother.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks. See you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, bye now. All right, next is JediMenace. JediMenace.
Jedi, how you doing?
First no-show?
Hey, no, I'm here.
I hear you.
Yeah, I was just muting the tab in the
Gotcha.
No worries. What would you like to talk about today?
Okay, well, couple things quick so that I could get it out of the way. Croncy, I agree with you 100% concerning with crafting and the pledge store. It should also not have things you could buy in the in-game store, so that you'll have something different. So you could get stuff from the store. It's one set of things.
Sure. Yeah,
stuff you craft, a different set of things. And shouldn't be, hey, I could just spend real money to get it.
Yeah.
I want to go on a point that King Jasper talked about with the ships and being overpowered. Now, I'm going to play devil advocate for a brief moment.
Okay.
Because what I've noticed CIG doing, they overtune something when it now comes out. So players will test it more because, hey, this is the new best of the best way to make money, best ship to fight with, best this, best that. So more people gravitate it. So they kind of encourage people to test it out, and then they will make the tweaks afterwards. So I don't know if that may be what they're doing.
Encourage them to test. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Let me put on my top-hatted monocle.
As I say, well, in a combination of that and make money off of them. I mean, it's a combination of the two. All right. Considering what you all have here about, it's a slow week, I think CIG like to focus a lot on the nice, new, and shiny, so that will get a surge of people, and then things will die off shortly after. They really need to work on server performance, as we all been saying. A lot of people complain how missions are just the same old boring type of missions, just sometimes a little reskin, but it's the same thing over and over.
Yep.
You know? But
server's the only thing that they keep saying will fix that, but we'll see.
They're not doing it.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing it. They're just not done.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what I think that will help with the slow periods is I also think CIG has been doing Freefly wrong. or not doing it wrong, but when they're doing it. They like to do the free fly when it already will have a bunch of players coming back in.
Yeah.
Right.
And
also
I'm just going to quickly. They do it two different types of times. So they do it always at Invictus and IAE. In addition, they usually do it 3 or 4 more times during the year. Those do tend to be dead times.
Well, they do it.
So it's
don't
not like
they do
right
it like
after
around their like holiday events, things like that? So when people
so they'll usually do
work,
one in like January. They'll do one in September normally.
Usually when people are off
sort of
of
changes.
work for things. So he's still kind of right in that sense because people would be home from work.
That's fair.
But one of the problems with when they tend to do it is like around a patch where some changes coming out, and those tend to be more buggy than anything. Add in with the poor server performance when you slap on free fly, the performance even worse. So you're not getting the best foot forward for the new people that you're trying to convince to buy.
Yeah.
During when they have stabilized a lot of issues with the new patches and things slow down, in my opinion, it would be a great time to do free fly.
Yeah. I would like that idea, like more consistency throughout the period, but yeah, I don't know.
The only thing there is like there needs to be like this is one time where the marketing team actually needs to get involved because the literal whole thing is, hey, we're trying to get new players, right?
Yeah.
We're literally trying to market the game to new players. If you do it at a time of the year where there's like actually no one playing, then you're going to think the game is dead and you're going to have a boring time. If you do it around a time when a new patch is out, everyone gets like including the veteran players get really hyped about all the new mechanics. They want to do all those new mechanics, so they're going to play. Then the new players come in. Historically, obviously we've had terrible times with Freeflys and new patches, right? Where just things don't work. I would still hazard a guess that they are more successful doing the free flights then than when if they just did it at a random point where cool, the servers are fine, but no one's playing. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't necessarily mean do it when it's dead, all right? But okay,
yeah. But when is it dead? Anytime there's not a new patch. Like it starts this and player numbers go down very quickly when there's not new content.
Well, true that. But one last thing, considering this, the 323, that the biggest thing that I really didn't like. Now you have new UI, new looting, interface and stuff like that, and with the changes that they started to roll out for the freight elevators, the changes that they made to ships and stuff, when the freight elevators got pushed back, they didn't roll back those changes. So stuff like, for example, your ship inventory is smaller. Now, with economy changes to the mission prices and all this kind of thing, you need more money. So me and my friends like to loot a bunker down to the bedrock.
Yeah.
And then sell as much as we can so we can try and make money. Can't fit it on the ship. Right? And
containers are weird.
Right. And also
I know the workaround.
With their change to looting, they didn't think about how to incorporate those SU boxes.
Oh, they're there. So, but you gotta work around. It's so ridiculous. Are you ready?
Yep.
You press F, you hold F,
and drop it on.
No, you hold F on the box, right click, and then hit loot instead of open, and then you press I, and the container. It's weird. The containers act as if they're in like have never-ending inventory. The moment you do that, all of your containers in that moment have the amount of inventory they're supposed to have. It's so stupid, but that's the workaround. So the boxes work, but you have to literally jump through 35 hoops to get them to work. So your point is still totally valid. Because who the hell knows how to do that?
With what you're talking about, I could basically loot a corpse and put it directly onto the box.
You could pull the undersuit, yeah.
Because
pull everything.
Okay. Because as I said, how I knew you had to deal with it, you had to basically drop it all onto the floor and then interact with the box with all the loot. Yeah.
You go through the old looting system, essentially. Like when you
Right,
end
but
up going through that, you go
but
through the old looting system, keep the guy's body on the ground, and just pull his undersuit right in. Done.
Yeah.
okay, I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
But it's tedious, and as I
Yeah,
said, they
terrible.
went through all that effort to redo the looting, and something as simple as, okay, if it is near, if the container is near the body, you have like a tab or something that you could, you could basically say, all right, I want to move stuff into this container since it's nearby. Something as simple as that. But that is the biggest issue I have. And there's a weird bug that when I buy a SU box, when I'm out on the field, I can't put and take stuff out of it, but my party members can. The only time I can put in and take stuff out
Same
of my
issue.
SU box is when it's in the inventory of the ship or the station, which
for
is
whatever
weird.
reason, same issue. Yeah, you got to do the whole dumb looting thing.
Do you think it's not possible as well, just because like the specific thing that you're mentioning that like doesn't really work in the new looting system is when you're looting like dozens of bodies? Is it not possible they just don't want us to do that?
No, I think that's
because like
if they don't want us to do that, what are they doing?
Well, because why would you loot normally, right? Like I would want them to want us to loot rare and like interesting things rather than just body of the same, like the exact same body with the exact same loot over and over and over and over.
I could push back on that pretty hard. You ready? Something that is usually involved in crafting is recycling.
Recycling, yeah.
Base.
That's true. Disassembling items to get raw materials.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Never mind. I want that now. Cool. All right. Fair.
Yeah. Now that I said it, they're not going to do it. But it's in most games, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. You got stuff to do, and thank you for having me again. And have a good day.
As always, Jedi.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Jedi.
Bye now. All right, Croncy is going to take enkk because classic can't. I guess I'm getting old, man. I can't make it through a podcast without having to pee. So
hello, enkk. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks. How are you?
Good.
No worries. You've got just me for a little bit.
Well, so and I made you disappear. So now you have.
I'm gone. No, you've got just me for a little bit. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, one of the things that I was going to touch upon when I heard about stuff earlier, and I think SaltEMike might actually want to talk a little bit about it as well if he's back in time. But the thing with crafting is, I wonder if they've kind of backed themselves into a corner with the way that they have sold ships and the way that ships now have insurance, and that if crafting, I don't think you're ever going to be able to get a situation with that, or it's going to be complicated where you can craft ships from zero to from nothing, the base materials to having a ship there. And because of that, could that affect the economy in a different way? Because you look at, say, Mike's been into EVE Online a bit recently, and you can see the headlines of EVE Online where they've had these massive ship battles and have cost these hundreds of thousands of dollars, or these battles have cost a lot.
Yeah, we get to have
these
that
ships
now.
Are worth something because of the time that you put them into.
But they don't disappear.
If you don't have that in Star Citizen, what will craft essentially do, and what sort of expendable thing can you do with craft?
There's a very
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a very simple answer to the way that you're talking about it. It makes me think that the way that you see crafting of ships, if that happens, and it probably will, is that you are just crafting the exact same Gladius that you can buy on the pledge store. Simple solution. Don't make it exactly the same.
So what would it be?
This one is a Gladius that has an extra 3% capacitor.
Oh shit!
Immediately,
like tech whatever in EVE.
Yeah. Okay. That then becomes a reason to craft it in the first place, because people won't just buy it with real money, right? But it also doesn't necessarily completely destroy like insurance and stuff like that, because you will still probably just use it as like that endless resource if you need to. Does that make sense? Is that sort of like, is that what you're getting at, or am I missing?
Yeah,
I love that
What
idea.
I was thinking of is that I was wondering if they just kind of back themselves in the corner because they're selling them for real money. If they're going to feel too much that the ships that they've got and the ship that you bought for real money is going to have to be there and have that value to you. If you spent like, you know, €300, £300 on a ship that gets essentially validated because people can craft one that's better than it, and you know, when it comes to combat, PvP and stuff, especially, people are going to min-max a lot. People want the best.
Course,
is that going to be a problem where they feel like they can't do that? Because the core thing that I'm trying to get at here is that when sort of mirroring to what Mike said about EVE Online and looking into that, the economy works so well because you can make everything. Like, what do you do with crafting? Like, is crafting just going to be you make some things as an upgrade, and once you've got it, you're done? Or is the things crafting going to meant to be disposable? Like, is it going to be a disposable economy? Can you say, I'm going to craft a ship and that ship will get used up, so I need to make a new one? Do I have to make new components when they get destroyed? And like, is ammo going to be worth making in the crafting system?
With that, how pay to win is owning a ship, right? So that's so.
No, yeah, you need to be able to craft things that are better than what you can buy on the pledge store, but they still, like, regardless, in any type of economy, that needs to be depleted somehow. Simple answers. Crafted materials may not be able to have insurance, or if they can have insurance, maybe they come at a premium or whatever. Not even a premium. Maybe they just come with insurance, whatever. But like, them being removed from the economy is relevant. You need to have that. I was just
gonna say components, but yeah, now we're talking about ships. It gets very weird.
Well, it's kind of the same thing. It's just as long as you can make it so that people continue to want to craft. The only reason for that is going to be if there are people willing to buy that. If you craft a thing that someone then keeps forever, that will not be the case. It was only a couple of years ago that, I don't remember for how many patches it was, but it was only a couple of years ago where right now in Star Citizen, if you bought new components for your ship and then died, those components would be lost, right? That's exactly the same thing. Cool. I did that, but it was with a crafted item that was, that whatever, a little bit better.
I used to think I knew what I wanted. Now I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's tricky. I just thought that because they're selling ships, because ships are having insurance and stuff, it's tricky. Because at first I thought, well, okay, so if you have like this fleet battle that goes on and you have these ships, you want to get the best out of them, so you craft. Crafting may be one of the best ways to make stuff, but you craft components for them, the weapons and stuff, and then you fling them into a fight and lots of stuff blow up. Like, what's the aftermath going to be? Is it going to be where, okay, I'm just going to get my ship back, but it's got nothing on it, and the crafting comes into its own, where you refit the ship with all the crafting stuff, and that's what they're going to do for it? Or will you just be able to do a whole new ship?
What's LTI versus not, like... what are there going to be different insurance? Like, what? There's so much that we don't know, and it just comes down to why are we still having these conversations? And I know
because we're talking about mechanics that don't exist, and it changes every patch.
I know, but it's like I understand that game development, like, once they put it in, it's a challenge, and then they decide to do something a little bit different, or this works, that doesn't work. Even if that's the case, I almost would rather that and get upset every once in a while when a feature that I really like the idea of is, doesn't end up being a thing or changes significantly, than just not knowing.
Yeah.
Just not knowing. It's so frustrating.
Well, that's the thing, and so we can only really say what we want it to be, and I would just want it to be that you can pretty much craft anything, with maybe the exception of like some reputation lock stuff, which would be cool, or some like exploration stuff would be cool. And that all of those things are both better than what you can get on the pledge store, however minute that is, and not infinite. Like, you do lose them,
Yeah.
So that's where I would like to see that stuff go.
Yeah, I find that's kind of like the core of it, that stuff does have to be deleted. And I think that, for me personally, I feel like the crafting system, what would make or break it is how useful you feel. If you feel like you're just making upgrades that people buy, and people don't really buy them that often because they have easy ways to get them, it isn't going to feel very good. But if you feel like you can make a supply chain, if you can say like, okay, I'm going to make this ship because this ship is something that often gets exploded, so I'm going to dedicate my crafting chain to making this ship, it's going to feel good because I think the whole point of crafting, good crafting systems, is that the stuff that you craft will eventually get used up, so then you can keep on making more.
Yeah. I'm with Croncy, though, that everything needs to be, like, whatever you buy for real money needs to be base, and everything else should be an improvement. So you get in, you got something you could play with if you do lose everything, but if you don't, then there you go. But I don't know. Yeah, now my head is spinning because I thought it was just going to be components this whole time and ships were just lost. But if they did something like that, that would be crazy. That would be awesome.
Yeah, because I think it sort of ties into so many systems, like the economy, craft, and everything. Like, what do you do with the mining stuff? Can you make iron and tungsten and steel and stuff useful because they're going to be in mass produced for ships, or is stuff like that just going to go into the void and because NPCs make all the ships?
Oh no, the whole NPC system. It's like, again, it's just not knowing is so. It's so up in the air still.
We need a it'll be a CitizenCon presentation this year. That's what it's going to be. And it may not be a massive one. It may just be touched onto the back of like the base building presentation that they'll end up doing.
Show it again. Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't really know what they want to do with it, and we'd like to.
yeah, for sure. But all right, enkk, we'll let you go because it's about the time that I need to head out. So thank you very much. And
cheers for the call.
Very interesting
also,
conversation.
Thanks for talking long enough that Mike was able to get back
from the
bathroom during the start of the call.
Yeah, appreciate it. Bye,
enkk. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Another answer the call in the books, Croncy. We always say that we're not going to go long. But we
still went for an hour and a half today. Yeah.
With a quote-unquote nothing. You know?
Yeah. The first slow week was not that slow. So as long as we don't get another actually slow week, we'll be good. And if we don't see an Eva Cardi this week, I'll be surprised. Like, genuinely.
Yep. Next week's coming up some pretty cool stuff. I don't know what you got going on, but I got the gamers. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I'm losing the. You know what it is.
The Atmo Esports X Avenger 1 Fight or Flight for Kids tournament.
It's so long.
Gamers Outreach. This isn't the full name. I'm just mentioning it.
It's for charity, for Gamers Outreach.
It's for charity. Yeah.
We're going to do a 3v3 tournament in fight or flight style master modes. There's some unique rules.
Not just master modes. Master modes. Private lobbies for like the first time as well. Like
Yeah, like all the new gunnery stuff and turrets and all that jazz. So people are like, a lot of the ships are available to use. So it's going to be pretty cool. And it's for charity. So it'll be on the 8th. Yep. Do you know what time it is exactly? I still haven't looked.
I don't know. I should find out because I'm commentating.
You are hosting it, right?
Yeah.
So we'll post the link to some info on it in the description for you guys on YouTube. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I've been kind of training a little bit. I got to get with my team. I don't know how to. My team is me, Nebel, and Expat Brat. So I don't know how. Yep. I'm in contact with Expat, but I don't know how to get in contact with Nebel. So we'll see on some training together. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's for charity. It's for a good cause. And I can't wait. So, yeah, check that out if you guys haven't yet. And other than that, I mean, we got PTU stuff. Hopefully 2 different PTUs that we're diving into this week.
Monthly report
coming up
this week. So
I think next week will be a good combo.
Yeah, definitely. And as a quick one, a reminder, guys, if you are over on YouTube, consider, subscribe. If you don't, I'll find you. But also consider becoming a member, so you can get a couple of perks with like some special episodes of ATC and stuff that we do. And we definitely don't favor our members at all, I swear.
Not at all. Never. Not at all. We would never do that. But we also wouldn't forget
to answer the call.